tomorrow.
I'm Jean Meserve in Washington.
And I'm Lyndon Soles in Atlanta. Welcome to Prime News. Saturday, at this very minute, I was telling you of a very serious car crash in Paris, an accident involving Princess Diana and her companion Dodi Fayed. At that moment, we didn't know the full extent of the crash. 24 hours later, the world is struggling with the fact that Diana is dead. The princess's body was returned to Britain on Sunday. Prince Charles, Diana's former husband, and Diana's two grief-stricken sisters escorted her flag-draped coffin home from Paris. A spokesman for Britain's royal family says a decision on Diana's funeral could come Monday. As for Diana's two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, they attended church services Sunday. They remain in Scotland at the royal family's summer retreat. Dodi Fayed, who had been romantically linked to Diana, was also killed in the Paris car crash. And like Diana's, Fayed's body was returned to Britain Sunday. A police spokesman says the Egyptian millionaire has already been laid to rest.
Also killed in the crash was the driver of the car. A bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, was the only survivor. He is reported in grave condition, but his injuries are no longer said to be life-threatening. The crash happened in a highway tunnel along the Seine in central Paris. The car slammed into a concrete piling and hit the tunnel wall. Fayed and the driver were killed instantly. Diana died at a hospital a few hours later. French police have detained 7 photographers who were chasing Diana on motorcycles when the car crashed. The police reportedly have seized about 20 rolls of film. French radio reports some of the photographers took pictures of the wreckage before ambulances arrived. In France, it is a criminal offense not to assist someone who is in an accident.
The car Princess Diana and her companion were riding in was a Mercedes S600 sedan. It was equipped with the latest safety systems, including front and side airbags. The chassis and roof on this sturdy sedan are also reinforced. But no matter how safe a vehicle is, it can only take so much.
Reports have the vehicle experiencing a sizable impact on the roof. If there is a weak point in that crash cage, it would be the roof. But this car probably performed as well, if not better, than any other car would have performed under the circumstances.
Even Mercedes says it doesn't matter what kind of car Diana was riding in, there was no chance of survival. For a better understanding of high-speed crashes, we turn now to CNN's Dick Wilson.
The Mercedes-Benz S600 model was traveling at such a high rate of speed, a Mercedes spokesman in Germany said no car could have withstood the crash. Paris police tell CNN the car was moving at more than 80 miles per hour as it entered the tunnel. Investigators at the scene say there are skid marks inside the tunnel just before the 13th concrete support piling. Authorities say the car braked, hit the piling, spun, then struck the wall of the tunnel, coming to rest about 3/4 of the way through the tunnel.
There's about 90 feet of skid marks. And if the car was traveling at 80 miles per hour to begin with, even with that much of a skid, it probably didn't lose more than 15 or 20% of its velocity. So I would estimate that it was traveling at least 60 miles an hour when it hit the first obstacle. And we're talking about 128,000 pounds of force.
That's the equivalent of 27 Gs, or 27 times the weight of gravity. The S600 Mercedes is a large, sophisticated car that weighs nearly 5,000 pounds. Even though it's equipped with 2 traction and handling control systems, on its website, the company makes this warning to drivers. No system, regardless of how sophisticated, can repeal the laws of physics or overcome careless driving actions. Dick Wilson, CNN, Atlanta.
Diana's brother, Charles Spencer, said he always believed the press would, in his words, kill her in the end. In a statement Sunday, he angrily blamed the media for her death.
It would appear that every proprietor and editor of every publication that has paid for intrusive and exploitative photographs of her, encouraging greedy and ruthless individuals to risk everything in pursuit of Diana's image, has blood on its
life, to give affection, to make them feel important, to support them, to give them light in their dark tunnels. I see it as a possibly unique role, and yes, I've had difficulties, as everybody has witnessed over the years, but let's now use the knowledge I've gathered to help other people in distress.
Do you think you can?
I know I can. I know I can.
Cancer sufferers. That is where she was supreme. and that is why she will always be remembered.
Tell me quickly how you react to her brother's statement that the press killed her.
He is very, very angry man, and there are many people here in Britain tonight who are trying to bury their heads in the sand and pretend that it doesn't mean them. I'm afraid it not only meant the press is to blame, but also every single person that goes out and buys a tabloid newspaper. We all have blood on our hands tonight.
Nicholas Davies, thanks so much for joining us tonight on the phone from London. Lyndon?
A funeral was held in Britain just hours ago for Princess Diana's companion, Dodi Fayed. Fayed was laid to rest in a cemetery near London within 24 hours of his death, according to Islamic tradition. He was the son of the famous Egyptian billionaire, Mohammed Al Fayed, owner of Harrods department store, and was a movie producer in his own right. News of Fayed's death was greeted with shock in his homeland. CNN's James Martone reports from Egypt.
Mr. Mahmoud Zaki was Dodi Fayed's childhood teacher. Dodi, says Mr. Zaki, was always modest despite his family's fortune. He was very simple, says Mr. Zaki. He didn't show his wealth. Mr. Zaki taught classical Arabic to Dodi when the son of millionaire Mohammed Fayed was a boy in this school in Alexandria. Mr. Zaki says Dodi didn't need to study. He had a photographic mind, he remembers. He never had to study. Mr. Zaki says his fondest memory is when he, a simple tutor, would be invited to the Fayed family villa here in the Victorian neighborhood of Alexandria. But what to say now, he sobs. Neighbors of the Fayed family villa here in Alexandria give varying accounts as to when the family actually left Alexandria, but everyone here agrees the Fayeds left behind a very good reputation. Atiya Ali says the Fayeds have given him a new wheelchair every year for the last 20 years. Dodi even came once. He was nice and just like an ordinary person, he says. The death of Dodi and Princess Diana was a shock in the Fayeds' old neighborhood. Residents say Dodi and his family were a source of pride. They were good, especially to the poor. We all admired them, says this man. Some suggested the death of Dodi and the princess was a plot. It was an English plot, says this man. They didn't want a princess marrying Dodi. The only one home at the Fayed mansion now is Abdul Sabur Ali. He says the news of Dodi's death came as a shock and he has orders not to let anyone in. Previous reports of Dodi's ties with Diana had been met mostly with joy in Egypt, where the princess visited in 1992. Some Egyptians even envisioned an imminent marriage between Dodi and Diana, but the tragic car crash that killed them both this weekend put a violent end to those dreams. James Martone, CNN, Alexandria.
And with Diana gone, what happens now to her two young sons? Coming up on Prime News, Prince William and Prince Harry after the grieving.
It's a huge story. It'll be with us for years to come. It's going to have a public impact. It's going to have an impact on the press. It's going to have an impact on how the press goes about doing its business.
Diana's body has been moved from a private mortuary to a chapel at St. James Palace. The royal family is expected to announce funeral arrangements tomorrow. The princess, millionaire friend Dodi Fayed, and their driver died early Sunday in a high-speed car crash in Paris. Diana's bodyguard suffered serious injuries in the accident. Those injuries are not considered life-threatening, but he remains in intensive care and his condition is described as grave.
Curtains on a movie set of Madonna and Sean Penn.
But Turiak says he never would have resorted to the high-speed chase that killed Princess Diana and her millionaire boyfriend. First, it's dangerous. Second,
where does that get me the photo? When they're on to the fact that I'm on to them, I've no longer done my job artfully. I like to get my photographs, and the first time they know about it is maybe a week later when they open, some magazine and say...
The moniker paparazzi became attached to the more annoying photographers in Fellini's movie La Dolce Vita. But in the 27 years since the film's release, celebrity picture-taking has become more aggressive. There is a new breed called the stalkerazzi.
They're the scum of the earth.
I'm not sure how you would stop it other than taking out a machine gun, to be honest with you.
Celebrities such as Tom Cruise say there should be some control, but members of this rough and tumble club say celebrities couldn't live without them.
I think they make their fortunes by public recognition, and we're a part of that process. There is no solution because we have a real conflict here between the right of the people to know in a free society like ours and the right to privacy. They are at direct odds.
Toriak has had his share of run-ins with celebrities. He's been shot at by who knows and punched. Now he thinks that with the death of Princess Diana, it will be open season on photographers.
Sooner or later, somebody's going to really get hurt.
But he's not about to put away his camera. Cynthia Tornquist,
Now, 15-year-old Prince William and his 12-year-old brother Harry, in the vulnerable throes of adolescence, must face the most painful adjustment of their young lives, life without their mother. Prince Charles woke his sons from their sleep to tell them of Diana's death. Experts on grief advise an honest and direct approach.
The first thing that's important is to be honest with children and to be sure that it's somebody the child knows who discusses the death with the child and not a stranger who breaks the news to them.
Observers have long noted that the royal family is not known for its displays of openness, warmth, or affection. Princess Diana is said to be the one who filled that void for her boys. She was vocal about her love for them and fiercely protective.
As a parent, could I ask you to respect my children's space? Because I brought the children out here for a holiday, and we'd really appreciate the space.
Now, not only must the boys cope with their grief, they must confront it in the harsh glare of the media spotlight.
They will experience the stages of grief, the shock, the numb denial, the searing pain and anger, and ultimately the acceptance at their own pace. Critical to this process is the support of the royal family, a family torn apart by years of strife and discontent.
Continuing the routine offers children stability. When John Kennedy lost his father just before his 3rd birthday, Jackie made sure the party